Episode 4.
Episode 4, Quattro.
I've been looking up some crazy stuff here.
Oh, yeah? I want to do a little bit of housekeeping up here at the top of the show.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
I've been looking at our metrics, as meager as they are, and notice we have a listener in Germany.
Yeah.
So whoever you are out there in Germany, shout out to you. If you want to hit us up on the email on the wickedparanormalteam@gmail.com, we might try to see about sending you some merch, man, and give you a shout out on the next episode.
Indeed.
We appreciate it. We appreciate all our listeners. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your kids. Well, maybe not your kids, but your older kids. You can tell your nieces and nephews. It's okay.
They don't mind spooky stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's your nieces and nephews. You're allowed to traumatize them a little bit.
Yeah.
So what you got, Sean? Sean's gonna go first today.
Well, I've been looking up haunted objects here lately. Since I own one myself. I was looking up the most haunted objects apparently in the world, and most of them are at Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, of course. One of them being a rocking chair known as the Devil's Rocking Chair.
Yeah, bet you get a good lullaby in that thing.
Yeah, usually rocking chairs are like soothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you sit and you rock, you can read.
Rock-a-bye chair.
Curl up in a blanket, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you see it rocking on its own because there's a demon sitting in it.
Oh, yeah. That's not creepy at all.
Or levitating.
Yeah, it seems like in a lot of ghost movies, that's what they'll put, like, to signal that they're, like, every time there's a haunted house or something, that house
most spooky
has
movies.
a fucking rocking chair.
You hear like...
Yeah, or one of those little kid horses, which admittedly is slightly creepier to me.
Yeah, rocking horses. But yeah, it all started, let's see here. Look at my notes here. Yeah, it's one of his most haunted items there, and he bought it from this family called Glatzels, the Glatzel family.
Glatzel?
Yeah, Glatzel.
Glatzel, maybe?
The Glatzels.
The Glatzels.
It was owned by them since like the 50s, but it just kind of lay dormant, I guess, for about 30 years.
No.
It might have been the house they lived in, too, because this is based off of that... You've probably seen that movie, A Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah, this is kind of like, it's based off of this family. Also, the other one, like the new, would it come out in 2021, I think, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That's also tied into this story as well.
Oh, The Devil Made Me Do It.
About the guy who murdered his landlord. And then tried to get off, pleaded that he was possessed, which is like the first time, you know what I mean, in court, like somebody tried to claim that they're possessed to get off a charge.
That's crazy that that's the first time. I mean, especially considering like
most people plead insanity.
All the Salem shit, you know. But I guess if you claim that you were possessed, they weren't trying to exorcise you back then. They were just gonna fucking throw you in the river.
Apparently, 2 of the family members were possessed by this force that basically attached itself to the 10-year-old, the 11-year-old. It all started with David. Now, David.
Damn. R. Kelly demon.
Yeah, David, he's an 11-year-old boy at the time. This is back in the summer nights of like 1980, so it's like 44 years ago.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was a long time. Well, not a long time ago. I mean, I'm 43, so it was like right before I was born. It happened in the 80s. But apparently, the family members, you had David, Alan, and Carl, and then their sister Debbie, and then their parents. That was the family members. Now, David was the youngest. He was 11 years old at the time, and he started to become possessed by this evil spirit. He would wake up like in the middle of dreaming, like he'd have nightmares and wake up, and he'd say like there's this man who has like animal parts. He has like horns and hooves.
Oh, damn.
A thin face with like spiky teeth. Ooh. Like pretty much like demonic, like
very Baphomet.
Nightmare fuel shit.
Yeah, damn.
And it would visit him at nighttime and torture him in like his dreams, which is like what you're talking about on our last podcast with the exorcisms.
Yeah.
That's like one of the stages. It would possess, the house first.
Yeah, or in the objects,
house. And then it would move on to a host.
Nice callback.
So, yeah.
Episode 3, if you haven't checked it out, you should.
Check out episode 3. We talk about the possession stages. So this is like in between, like possession stage 1 and 2, kind of, you know what I mean? Like where it's trying to find a host. So it picks on David pretty much, probably because he's the youngest, and, kids are usually susceptible to spirits. spirits, especially before they reach, puberty and stuff. They have that innocence about them.
Yeah.
And demons feed on that, They feed on innocence.
It's their adrenochrome.
Yeah. So that's probably why he was targeted. He would describe these dreams and seeing this, this dark man at night with hooves and horns. And if it was any other child, you may overlook this. It's like, oh, you're just having a bad dream, woo, woo, woo. But David was the kind of kid that he was honest about anything. He didn't like anything scary, nothing terrifying. He was like a good kid, you know what I mean? And he was clearly traumatized by what he has witnessed. Like, he was having night terrors. Like, this thing was tormenting him in his sleep.
Damn.
To the point where after this kept on going on and on, he was never the same again. Like, he was always socially withdrawn. He'd be disconnected from, like, the rest of the family in the real world. His sister Debbie was particularly concerned for his well-being and always kept a close watch on her. As nights went on, he had recurring dreams of this scary man. It progressed into physical evidence. He would wake up regularly covered in bruises and strange markings.
Damn.
That happened while he was sleeping. You know what I mean? So this is like, it's starting to get serious now. It became unbearable, and he started seeing the man during the daytime even, and now referred to him as the Beast. So anytime he's seen this man, he'd be like, over there, mama, there's the Beast. And he'd be like sitting in the freaking rocking chair, because he chose this rocking chair that the family had, which is the rocking chair we're talking about.
Yeah.
And he would see him in there rocking, and the family's like, oh, woo woo, and they look back, and sure enough, this rocking chair would be rocking by itself.
Yeah, that's not creepy
and
at
it's
all.
like come to a halt. You know what I mean? You ever see something move and it's come to a complete halt?
Yeah.
Like door slam or something. It's like whoosh,
Yeah. That's crazy.
stuff like that.
I think
Like there's some
it coming to a complete stop instantly is more creepier.
Yeah.
More creepier. Is creepier than it's because, like, you don't know, a fucking mouse could run across the tip of one of
if
those
something
fucking
slowly
things.
comes to a stop. It's
And
like,
it
could be more explainable.
Yeah, that's just friction.
If you just see something moving and then it just halts.
Instantly stops, you're like,
Got ghost assist.
either that was a glitch in the Matrix,
Yeah.
or we got poltergeists. We need to do some work, fellas.
So he started seeing this thing during the daytime. It's reached over from his night like dreams into physically seeing it around the house,
Damn.
like on a Tuesday.
Like it's manifesting himself.
Yeah.
Itself.
And he became so the spirit, the Beast, became so powerful that even David started to feel as if he were the Beast. And the Beast's favorite spot was in the rocking chair. They would see it, empty, but it was slowly rocking back and forth. They're like, okay, we got something in the house. They finally come to the conclusion, like, look, there's something demonic in here. Let's go ahead and call a father over here and bless the house. So they did this numerous times. They'd have priests come over, cleanse the house, because like we were talking about in the last podcast, that's part of the first stages. You got cleanse the house and everything. But this only made it worse. If anything, it like pissed it off.
Damn.
When they started doing that. So
do you know who the priest was on that?
I'm not sure. I was trying to look it up because I was wondering about that, if he went to the same school. That
you keep talking. I'm going to research that.
But anywho, they're trying to come in there, banish any evil spirits, but this only made it aggravated. And then he had more frequent visions, and then he began screaming at his family, like unrecognizably, like in different voices, like Old English. He like yell at them in Latin, or like yell at them in tongues and shit.
Damn.
It started getting serious. They took turns watching him during the night and day to keep him under control as he slowly, like his health, started to deteriorate, which is going into phase 2, full-blown possession. So he also had health precautions, as he had multiple episodes of seizures. It would cause him to go into seizures. They finally got a hold of Ed and Lorraine Warren, which is like the infamous ghost hunters. They were the next paranormal professionals to visit the Glatzel family, and the pair worked with priests to perform exorcisms on David, often whilst he was sat in the rocking chair, because he became the Beast. So he went and he would sit in the chair.
It was Ed and Lorraine Warren who performed the exorcism.
Oh, okay.
By the way,
they would do the exorcism while he was in the chair, because he wouldn't want to leave the chair now. It's like the Beast has taken over him, and that was his favorite spot. So now, like, he's the one sitting in the chair. He started getting possessive.
Yeah. Okay. So
the wardens have even testified to seeing the chair move by itself and even levitate occasionally in plain sight.
The Warrens?
Yeah.
So I was just researching the Warrens, and I don't watch a lot of horror movies. I don't watch a lot of scary movies.
They're pretty much like the pioneers of paranormal.
But all of like The Conjuring, Annabelle, The Nun,
yeah, they're all based off.
All of that is based off of
their cases.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some creative liberties taken.
Yeah, to make it's Hollywood for you.
I only know,
but the stories are true though, because they're documented.
The chick that plays Lorraine Warren, I know her from The Departed. That's the first movie I remember seeing her in. And the dude, I've seen him in other stuff, but I can't remember anything off the top of my head.
So after all these, they'd start doing exorcism after exorcism, trying to drive this evil entity, the beast, out. And he was finally extracted from David's body, and he had control over himself once again. And the family felt as though they were finally free of this demonic force. But this feeling did not last very long, unfortunately, because this thing was in the house, probably, up on the water heater or some shit, waiting for its next victim.
On the water heater.
Yeah, somewhere just lurking. You know what I mean?
Lurking with this Jergens, but this whole bag of Viagra isn't working.
So along comes Arnie. Now Arnie Johnson, they like you were talking about with the Conjuring movies. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
That movie's based off of this Arnie guy right here.
Okay.
Arnie was the fiance of David's sister. He started acting very odd and was not himself at all. They came to the conclusion that this demon had entered his body.
Wait, did you say Lorraine's sister?
No. David's sister.
Oh, okay. David, the original little boy.
Debbie. David.
Yeah, I got you. My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Arnie's Debbie's fiance. So he started acting weird, and they're like, "Whoa, hold up, buddy." I mean, like
we've seen this story before.
This is like they already knew, like, oh shit, round 2.
Yeah.
And he started acting funny. Okay.
Now, was he around the family for David's stuff?
Yeah, he was around. They came to the conclusion that this demon has entered his body. Because he would hiss. He had visions just like David once did. He would hiss at people and had weird dreams, and his possession was way more intense though.
Damn.
It got extremely out of hand.
He got to the point where he actually ended up, a month later, he ended up murdering his landlord at a party. Stabbed him to death. I think that dude he was like, no, this is bullshit. And then he was
in the movie, he
if you're fucking out there, then I want you, come show me.
Yeah, that's how it is in the movie. In the movie, he's like, leave him alone, choose me. Like he wanted the demon out, and it did. It basically took his ass over.
Yeah, but there was some bleed over time. Some time it took for it to really manifest itself again, because it did get. I will say this, all of those movies and stuff based off of the Warrens, I'm beginning to think that they weren't very good at being exorcists, because they just keep running into the same shit, fucking with them, and then new shit, and not being able to get rid of it. So I'm beginning to think that they weren't very good at their jobs, but they made so much money being really shitty. Which, by the way, speaking of being really shitty at your job and getting paid a lot of money for it, don't forget to like and subscribe this podcast. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody.
Indeed. Then unsubscribe and resubscribe.
And then unsubscribe and resubscribe again.
Anywho, back to the possession of Johnson here. So, good old Mr. Johnson here. He decided, like I said, a month later, he ends up stabbing his landlord at a party. And this was in front of Debbie. Like, he ended up killing this dude. And, I mean, it got, way out of hand. Johnson claimed in court that he was not responsible for his actions due to being under demonic possession, which was they're like, what? Well, the judge didn't buy it, sentenced him to prison. But after everything was he served 5 years before being released, and then after he was free, he ended up marrying Debbie. But despite the horrific...
Damn, she still married him after... Well, I guess she would believe it because it happened to her brother, so she's like, yeah, that's possible. I think either A, he invited the demon in and that's legit, or B, he used that little boy's pain to get away with killing his landlord. It's one or the other.
But anyway, despite all these horrific events, the family held on to the rocking chair even after all that shit happened, and they even moved. And every time they would still have strange activity, but it nearly stopped after they get them moving. Anyone who sat in that chair, though, would suffer the consequences, such as excruciating back problems, which would send them to the hospital. One guy even had to have surgery and stuff.
Damn, I wish I could blame that shitty ass rocking chair for my back problems.
But it's still protected to this day. It's held at the Haunted Museum of Zach Bagans there in Vegas.
Yeah, from Ghost Hunters.
And apparently the demonic spirits supposedly remain surrounding the chair. The museum workers have reported suspicious happenings ever since its arrival. Visitors are warned to enter at their own risk. He actually had to take it out of display and put it back in storage because people were getting sick, throwing up near it and stuff. As soon as they enter the room, they'd throw up.
Damn, that's crazy, though.
They were having doors slamming and shit. There was as soon as he brought the chair into the museum, it started. It literally, it was like, we're here. Everyone's started up like it was having a fucking party and shit in that bitch because he has nothing but haunted items.
It's like the fucking.
So it just like amplified it.
the equivalent of the giant painting from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Being put in the room with the equivalent of the toaster from the first Ghostbusters.
It's like,
movie.
are you the gatekeeper?
You know, yeah, like. You know, you put like a master ghost in a fucking room with a bunch of little ones. It's gonna just fucking amplify the energy of that thing.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the. It's like I said, it's housed in Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum now, and it stands as a chilling testament to the power of haunted objects. It's rated.
That is fucking crazy, man. Like,
yeah,
I love rocking chairs, but damn.
Yeah, and it's like an old. Like I have to show you a picture of it, but it's like an old timey. Like the kind like your grandma used to have, with old wooden.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
With like the little pad in it.
I'll put a link in the show notes to the website that you sent me, and there's pictures of it on there. You'll know you're on the right website because it looks like a early 2000s dirty site pop up.
Well, you can always Google Zach Bagans' Devil's Rocking Chair and it'll show pictures too.
Yeah, I mean it looks all right.
You could tell it looks weird. There's only been. I think 2 people so far that have sat in it since the possession, and that is Zach Bagans himself. And when he had Sam and Colby do an investigation there at his museum, he opened up the display and let them sit in it. He's like, besides me, you're the only ones that have sat in this.
Has anything happened to either?
And
of
them? So, Sam, I think both of them might have sat in it. I think it was Colby that sat in it first. I forget. But I watched that YouTube episode of him, and I also watched on Joe Rogan where he interviewed Colby and stuff, and he was like, they were honored that he would like open up the display just for him, but they're also like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is serious.
This is serious.
It's like, what do we do? Like, like, there was the only time where he didn't like a haunted object to sit. He said he sat in
crazy.
it. He said when he was sitting in it, they did the Estes method.
Oh.
And when he was sitting, like, Sam was asking him Colby questions, and while he was sitting in it, he said his legs got like really sore.
Damn.
Like he ran like 10 miles or something, and he couldn't he was almost like he was like forced to sit there. Like he was wanting to get up, but like his body was like, nope.
Damn, that's crazy.
Like weird, you know what I mean? That's just crazy, dude.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what I brought today.
That's pretty crazy, man. I like that.
The Devil's Rocking Chair.
That's a good one. Since we're
talking about possessions and stuff last week.
Yeah. Now we send each other little outlines.
Yeah.
But we don't we just kind of skim them to get an idea.
Yeah, I don't really.
Really deep dive into each other's subjects, because
that way it makes it interesting for me.
Yeah,
and for you.
It helps me pay attention because I don't know everything that you're about to say, so it keeps me engaged for sure. Hey everybody, Chinry here with ads. If you or someone you know would like to run an ad with the Wicked Paranormal Team or Dead Time Stories podcast, please feel free to reach out at wickedparanormalteam@gmail.com. That's wickedparanormalteam@gmail.com. Thank you. And we're back again.
We're back.
So today I wanted to talk about Gobekli Tepe. Now I've heard it debated Tepe or Tepa, but the little thing has the little thing.
It's like potatoes.
Yeah.
Tomatoes.
It translates to Potbelly Hill because that's kind of what it looks like in the landscape. It's just like a little Potbelly Hill.
Potbelly Hill.
Yeah, dude, like me laying on my back,
Yeah.
So basically, back in the 60s, there was a survey being done, and a farmer was out, in that area, and he hit this fucking rock, and he's like, hey, I got this big rock on this hill.
What am I gonna do about it?
Y'all want to look at this while you out here? So they checked it out, and they figured it might be like gravestones or something, because they didn't really dig too deep into it.
Oh, like a buried headstone.
Yeah, or like some kind of marker or something like that. And that was in 63. Well, it just kind of, nobody really fucked with it for a little while. And in 94, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt recognized it and began excavations there around 95. He passed away in 2018, Dr. Schmidt. So, and as of 2015, less than 5% of the site has been excavated. Now they've used ground radar and stuff like that to kind of map some of it.
Oh, okay.
But if you see the pictures of what's excavated, it's a lot that's been excavated, and that's less than 5%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this is located like kind of north of where Mesopotamia is, you know, because like that was kind of in between the Tigris and the Euphrates, and that was, you know, this is more like in the clit of the Tigris and Euphrates, you know.
Okay.
You know, if you can find the clit, you can find Gobekli Tepe. Tepe, whatever. And it looks like kind of the cornerstone piece of evidence of the beginning of humans being hunter-gatherer nomads to communities and starting to gather. So when they started excavating this thing back in the 90s, they started finding these huge pillars, and on these pillars there was all kinds of iconography, like wild animals, and a lot of those animals were not like necessarily native to that region, and the greater number of them that they can identify are either symbolic, like vultures were very symbolic. Because you know, they eat the dead, and like nomads and all of that, you know, they didn't necessarily bury their dead, so that was kind of like they're taking you or whatever. But a lot of the animals that were depicted on all of these pillars and everything they're mostly animals that can kill you. Now there's some that like can't be identified, which who knows how many animals existed.
So it's almost like they like hunted these animals.
Yeah, well, it was just kind of like an information center. Like, hey, if you see this, it will likely kill you. Stay away from it, you know?
I see.
And the ones that can't be identified, I mean, there's no telling how many animals that have been extinct.
It was like a public catalog.
That we still haven't found fossils of, so we have no fucking idea. So, like, you know, that's very possible. But the pillars also have, like, not necessarily faces on them, but they're like elongated head type thing, because they're T-shaped pillars.
Yeah.
And it has like kind of a depiction of arms crossed across the front. And like these things they're 15 meters high, so that's 50 feet. That's 5 basketball goals.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I mean, yeah, and so these things are huge.
They got all sorts of pictures all over them.
Yeah, and it's not like carved into it. It's like, I don't know, textured. It's not like, I don't know the word for it because I'm dumb and I went to a public school. But it's like a protruding image, you know?
Yeah.
But they tend to disagree as to whether or not the advent of agriculture caused people to settle down, or people settled down and then did agriculture. Like, I don't know, I'm of the mind that they were like, look, it was kind of like, look, if we stay in one spot, we can just grow food instead of like fucking walking around everywhere and trying to find what you can find. You know, they just figured out, hey, if I take these particular pieces of this plant and put them in the ground elsewhere, it'll grow more of them instead of like it just naturally pollinated.
Yeah.
So now this place is fucking huge, man. It's about 20 acres.
It was all in this hill.
Yeah.
They like built up around it, try to bury it.
And the site was first used around the dawn of the Southwest Asian Neolithic period.
Oh shit.
Which is like, this is the oldest permanent human settlement of any kind in the world that anybody's found so far.
Yeah. To date, anyway.
There's evidence that there was settlements around this place, not necessarily in it. It was more like a communal, like probably where shops and shit were.
Oh, kind of like a little village.
You could trade and stuff, you know, like a main street in a western.
Yeah.
But there were, you know, they found
it's like one of those Mexican swap meets.
Yeah. Extensive processing of cereals, you know, like grains, water supply coming through there, and tools associated with daily life. So like hammers and knives and shit.
Yeah.
You know, like evidence of all of that has been found here. So it was like,
so it's literally like the oldest Mexican swap meet.
Honestly, it might be more like an industrial district, you know, like in an industrial park that you got in every town ever. Like, let's just do all the work in this one spot and then not live there. Now, the previous interpretation was that it was a sanctuary, but no definitive purpose has been, you know, found out. It's not like they had reading and writing back then. Everything likely had roofs with sloped sides. Now, one of the interesting facts about this is that it appears that, from the way I understand it, the oldest evidence of domesticated einkorn wheat is at this site.
Oh, wow.
So einkorn wheat is like the grandfather's great great grandfather, whatever, so on and so forth, of what you eat today.
Like the original Cheerios.
Yeah, like yeah, einkorn wheat, the strain can be traced all the way back. So this is like, you know, the first actual cultivation of this, or the evidence of it, you know. So we're looking at 10, almost 11,000 years ago. It was a long time ago, dog.
Yeah.
So the carbon dating on the place says that it was built towards the end of the pre-pottery Neolithic A period, which there's A and B. It was slightly or significantly expanded around the early 9th millennia BCE. So they made it way bigger, and then they used it for about 1,000 years or so, and then just fucking stopped. I guess they outgrew it. Now, it was originally dated to just the regular pre-pottery Neolithic age based on the types of stone tools. Now, obviously, pre-pottery means fucking pre-pottery. Like, they had yet to discover the process of, like, baking clays
making
and shapes
harden.
and making pottery.
Yeah. They're probably still basket weaving and shit.
Yeah. And, you know, and none of that shit survives. You know, stone tools.
Yeah.
Flint was very common, which makes, like, these, the carvings and stuff in these pillars way more interesting because they used flint tools and rock hammers. So, I mean, it's like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But then again, they don't have iPads. So, like...
yeah, they can't buy anything with Robux.
Yeah. So, there were several phases to that building and expansion. The earliest settlement phase dates to the second half of the 10th millennia. Includes the first versions of enclosures and round oval domestic structures, which indicate a sedentary lifestyle, which means they were located in one place. Phase 2 in the early 9th millennia, so about 500 or 600 years after they first started using it and built it, they made the expansions. They made new walls. That's when they incorporated the first monolithic T-shaped pillars into the actual buildings.
So they started upgrading pretty much.
Yeah, you know, started making more floor space covered. Made way more domestic structures, and most of the buildings were still oval and round, though the rising tendency for a rectangular floor plan was coming along. Now, phase 3, 4, and 5, the northern and western slope of the hill found the first mass, like, rectangular structures.
Oh, wow. Like a longhouse or something?
Yeah, pretty much. They underwent multiple construction phases. The addition of benches with the incorporated T-shaped pillar, new inner walls resulted in more rectangular rooms. So it was just kind of like, they built it kind of in a circle, but then they looked at it and was like, well, instead of having to do this fucking circle wall, I can just make a straight line.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I guess humans figured out straight lines was the shortest distance.
Yeah.
And benches were placed inside the interior sides of the phase 2 walls, so like they added more seating, you know, a larger capacity. I guess it was bringing more people in because it was the first like structure of that kind that anybody had ever really seen.
Yeah, because they weren't living in caves and shit.
Yeah, you know, and that's like the cradle of life in that area. So that's like the first humans legit that were walking, talking Homo sapiens, you know, after wandering through the wilderness for however fucking long they wandered before this.
All I could picture is like you ever watched 2001: A Space Odyssey?
It's been forever.
And like all the monkeys and shit are
the monolith,
they're like, they're all going crazy and shit. That's all I can picture in my head when you say monolith. this little village. It's like man has been discovered finally. You know what I mean? Started building structures and shit.
But yeah,
came out of the caves.
In phase 5, building C, because there's 4 buildings that they've kind of mapped out so far, A, B, C, and D, was reconstructed for the last time, and a terrace wall was placed above it to prevent future slope slides. Nonetheless, a second major slope slide event occurred, which likely resulted in enclosure B being abandoned.
Oh, that might be how it got buried.
Yeah, but I mean, the shit at the top of the hill, how does that get buried, dog? You know?
I'm saying over time, it may have just covered up in erosion over time.
Yeah, the shit falling down and then going and falling underneath.
Until he dug up the rock and was like, oh, what's this? And then uncovered the whole thing.
Yep. So during the late 9th to early 8th millennia, the loss of enclosures B and D are believed to lead to a gradual decline. Phase 8 was like the final occupation period. The big part of the village had been abandoned and people were pretty much just staying there. So you may be right, like in the middle of the hill with all that weight on top of it could have just been kind of blowing out the side and eventually sinking that until it was covered. That's a pretty decent theory.
They probably didn't really understand gravity.
Yeah, they didn't understand like having to have solid ground to build your put all that damn weight on. But like, where'd they get the stones from, dog? Like, how'd they get them there? That's fucking huge. That's like a feat of engineering for that time.
It was aliens, man.
Yeah, aliens.
They gave them, they're like, here, we're going to drop these rocks off here and y'all do what you do. And then they dipped out. So that's what they did. They flew in. They're like, hey man, we're gonna help you out. This is one good old solid on you over here. We're gonna drop these rocks off here and we're gonna let y'all do what you do with them.
Yeah.
And then just take off.
So like the size of these compounds, I guess. The first ones were from 10 to 30 meters, so 33 to 98 feet ish. So I mean, that's decent size for, like, you know, but I guess they didn't need much because they're used to just fucking sleeping outside or in caves and shit. So you know,
of course it was dangerous because you got all these wild animals. Well, they started getting smart though, posting them up for others to see. You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of smart. It's like a APB, like, hey, look out for this creature.
You don't want it to this one will eat you, or this one is poisonous. You know, and there's no proof that anything was like painted or colored or anything.
It's like a community index for different species of animal. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's this place is pretty crazy. It's kind of changed stuff of what we know. Here's a list of some of the shit that's on there.
As far as animals go?
Yeah. Lions, bulls, boars, but there's also like foxes, gazelles, and donkeys. Snakes and other reptiles, arthropods such as insects and arachnids, birds, particularly vultures. So in like the area of like Catalhoyuk and Jericho, you know, in those ancient cities, there's a lot of vultures there too. Very few humanoid figures though. Very few. Some of the pillars have like human arms carved, you know, but some of those have like loincloths on the lower half, which tells you that they wore some type of clothing at a certain point. They knew their pee-pees were gonna get peached.
They had to protect it at all costs. I wonder if they had any pictures of Sasquatch or aliens on there.
I don't know. I've never been there.
You know what I mean?
That'd be crazy. It's just like the depiction of Sasquatch, like walking. You know, and it's blurry.
It's blurry.
Yeah. Fucking. I think Sasquatch is just blurry. He's just blurry. That's why you can't ever get a good picture of his ass.
He's
just naturally out of focus.
Out of focus pixelation.
He's just so fuzzy it fucks up the air around
It's
him.
like his camo. It's like it's just it's all depixelized.
Shit. But yeah, you know, like I said, they found like all kinds of flint artifacts. Tool assemblage found resembles that of northern Levantine pre-pottery Neolithic sites. In 1963, over 3,000 tools were uncovered. The vast majority, the vast majority of excellent quality flint. Only a handful of obsidian cores, various blades.
They had obsidian too.
Yeah, flakes, scrapers, burns, and projectile points were the most common tool types. So like, they didn't have the bow and arrow yet, but
it's
spears and there's a weapon, I don't remember what it's called, but it like, you kind of sling it. I don't know, it's like two sticks and it's a V. It's almost like a spear, but on a fucking
like a javelin
lever, kinda. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, over 7,000 grinding stones have been found.
Wow.
Spanning the entirety of the site usage. which means it suggested that they were used in the process of grains and stuff.
Yeah, making grain making grain for bread or for their livestock. So I'm sure you said they had well, I'm sure they farmed livestock too.
No,
didn't have any.
Nope.
So these are animals they found and killed.
Yeah, come across and shit. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So I guess this kind of clears something up for me. It's unclear whether the cereal was wild or cultivated. So there's a possibility that, surrounding the hill was all of this fucking wheat.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, instead of fucking doing, it's gonna grow here every time.
Yeah.
So
we'll just post up here.
Yeah, and then I think eventually that turned into cultivating it. Yeah. And then they just abandoned that area because once they figured out the cultivation over the almost 2,000 years that they used the site, they were like, shit, we can just go do this elsewhere. Let's go find somewhere prettier or whatever, you know what I mean? And then they found the middle of the Tigris and the Euphrates, Mesopotamia. Yeah. And it grew from there. It's very possible.
That shit's crazy.
But let's go Gobekli Tepe.
Very interesting.
Tepe. Yeah, and just
it's all dug up by a single.
Yeah, dude, just some motherfucker doing his shit.
He's like, what the hell?
Yeah. But also I want all you listeners, all 12 of you, to know that we're not deep divers.
Yeah, we just do this for fun.
Yeah, we do. It's kind of fun. It inspires us to research more stuff because I like interesting shit. Yeah. Sometimes, most of the time, I always like. If you ain't learning, you ain't living. So it kind of, I guess, focuses me to research more stuff instead of just kind of stumbling upon shit. I'm actually. Yeah. But that's kind of what we want to do for you guys. Is maybe you'll pick something up and be like, man, that's interesting. I want to learn more about it.
And if you have anything out there that you're interested in and you want us to, discuss, just send us an email. We'll be glad to go over it.
wickedparanormalteam@gmail.com.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Thanks everybody for listening. If you want to see any more of our stuff, check us out at Wicked Paranormal Team on YouTube. We're also Wicked Paranormal Team on TikTok. We do a TikTok live every other week as well. Usually either Friday or Sunday. Yeah. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have fun. Welcome to 2025. Let's make it better than 24.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Y'all take it easy.
Peace.